Let me tell you something, folks. There are some stories that are amazing, that pull you by the heartstrings and drag you along for the ride. There are also some stories that are just so utterly disappointing. Like, you know what the author's trying to do, but you just can't help but feel like they fell flat. And then there are some stories that manage to do both. So, I hope you enjoy this review. Also, before we get started, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for being a bit slow on the uploads lately. You know, life's been kind of crazy for me lately, and I just haven't had a lot of time to sit down and just work on my reviews, because when you're my age, you gotta really start focusing on your priorities. There was once a pony named Pinkie Pie. She was a happy pony who only wanted to have fun because fun was all she knew. Hey, can you blame her? She was born an hour ago. But during her trip through town, she found that her sisters were missing. Upon her investigation, she eventually finds her kin and witnesses their ultimate demise.
Die! 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 You must die!
Now, our little illegal immigrant is on the run, and she soon realizes that the only way to get the po-po off her tail is to get that sweet Celestia certified citizenship. With that goal in mind, she heads off to Camelot for an unforgettable journey filled with twists, turns, endearing characters, suspense, and other stuff. Sort of, kind of, maybe-ish. So this story was recommended to me by a fan, and I was very interested when I first saw it. Oh, what do you know, a Too Many Pinkie Pies fanfic that doesn't use the, oh, what if the real Pinkie Pie died first and let's be sad about it premise that got old within like a friggin' week? Sign me up. So I started reading and was instantly hooked, reading the whole thing in one sitting. That is uncommon for me considering the length. First of all, this story has to have one of the strongest openings I've ever seen in a fanfic. And I'm not exaggerating here. For starters, the character development is amazing. When we're introduced to Pinkie Pie clone number 23, or Strand as she will later be called, the fact that she is a clone is very obvious. For example, the way she thinks about fun all the time and refers to everything she sees as either being fun or unfun, and the concept of something like tears or sadness being alien to her. She's incredibly naive and innocent as a creature could be. After she sees her sisters getting fried, all that starts to change. She starts running, scared for her life. She freaks out, asking, why do they want to kill me? Why me? This is some harrowing stuff, and it wouldn't be quite as effective if the writing weren't so damn good. The little mannerisms that Strand has, like the way she makes up words and thinks in these confused, run-on sentences, completely sell the character for me. You can just sense the devastating transformation she goes through, and it just grabs at your heartstrings. Also, the use of imagery in the story is awesome. I mean, check it. And then the last of her was gone, the hole in her chest turning into a chasm. A gaping maw that sucked the last of the light from her world. She felt every last moment as the last her in the building was zapped away, bursting and floating off on a breeze. Damn, son! Rarely do I see that type of effort. It's just so vivid, it makes the whole experience seem all the more real. After she gets past her crisis, she starts to form a plan. If she can meet with Celestia, maybe then she can finally take her rightful place in pony society without the fear of being zapped. So let's do a quick recap. In the first 4 chapters, we are introduced to a sympathetic main character, the conflict is clear, and the goal is set. That's what we call a setup, baby. We're emotionally engaged, and we have a direction. But what about the rest of the story? Before we get to that, let's examine what the story wanted to do. In the description, the author poses a question. Is it possible for this clone to develop, to become her own pony? From my point of view, this sets up a story that's gonna be about growth, self-discovery, and most importantly, character development. Wow. So obviously, this is a story about how Pinkie Clone number 23 develops into Strand. We even see her proudly proclaim, "No, she wasn't just a clone. Even if she had been at some point, she wasn't now. If the others couldn't accept that, then they would just have to get over it. She was not going away. She was not just another clone. She had to show them."
I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
But here's the thing. After everything's said and done, when she gets her happy little ending and the world accepts her as their own pony, I had no idea who Strand was. I didn't know what her likes and dislikes were. I didn't know what her hopes and dreams were. Nothing. I didn't know who Strand was as a character. So, what exactly happened? Well, the answer is simple. Strand lacks agency. Wait, what the heck is that? Well, according to author Chuck Wendig, agency is a character's ability to make decisions and affect the story. This character has motivations all her own. She's active more than she is reactive. She pushes on the plot more than the plot pushes on her. Even better, the plot exists as a direct result of the character's actions. You see, the more agency a character has, the stronger they'll be. After all, our character is what defines how we respond to the situations and circumstances of life. I think Batman says it best.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
The thing is, Strand really doesn't do much in this story, and her character ends up being really weak as a result. But honestly, it's not always her fault. You see, the plot bails her out more than the US government. Almost every time Strand faces an obstacle in the story, she gets saved by either dumb luck or by the intervention of a third party. Don't believe me? Well, we got some time, so let's go through them. When she's running away from the main six, Strand gets trapped in an alleyway. What you gonna do? Oh look, here's Derpy to save the day. Aw, Derpy, why you gotta be so cool? Later, Strand finds herself in Camelot and is instantly overwhelmed by the city, having no idea what to do. Oh look, here's Fancy Pants. Hey, I recognize you. Why don't you come and stay in my mansion while I set up a meeting with the princess for you and not ask any probing questions? Well, golly, Fancy, that's awfully nice of you. What's this? Two people find out about her true identity and threaten to turn her in? How is she gonna get out of this one? By giving them the Puss in Boots eyes and asking nicely. Alright, fine, but I'm leaving you with a warning. Well, that was easy. Oh, Strand's got a case of clone decay and is turning whiter than Michael Jackson. Surely that will raise some suspicion. Gosh, Pinkie, are you feeling alright? Yeah? Well, if you say so. Uh-oh, Strand got lost on her way to the meeting. Gosh, I wonder how she's going to... Oh, look, here's Rainbow Dash, who decides after exchanging 3 lines of dialogue that Strand is really cool, and that she will lead her to the castle. And then there's the ending. But before we get to that, let's address the point. By having all of these problems solved for her, you rob the character of an opportunity to show their stuff. I mean, look at the lost treasure of Griffinstone. In that episode, there is a problem. Griffinstone is in shambles. Rainbow Dash decides to go find the lost treasure right off the bat, while Pinkie decides to stay behind and cheer everyone up. They both try to solve the problem in their own way, and by doing so, reveal their unique personalities. If this was the first episode you watched, you would instantly know who these characters are and what they're about. But what about when Strand isn't facing a crisis? I mean, she must show off some character. Well, let's take a look at the second act of our story. While Strand is waiting for her meeting with the princess, Fancy Pants decides to show her around the city, showcasing all the different aspects of culture. He shows her musicians, actors, artists. She even meets a changeling who disguises himself as a zebra and has found success being a traveling street musician. Personally, I feel like this would have been a great opportunity to do a couple of things. First of all, to gauge her interests. Up to this point in the story, Strand has had a one-track mind. Gotta get to Celestia, because if I don't, then I die, and dying is bad. An understandable mindset, but kind of uninteresting if you ask me. The thing I want to know is, what about after you get recognized as your own pony? What then? However, this question is never answered. Most of the time, Fancy just kind of monologues at Strand and she just kind of follows his lead. She doesn't try to engage his teachings by asking questions or by making meaningful comments. She just lets him talk and waits till he's finished. I mean, all I would have needed is one part where she was like,
Wait, what is this called? Anime? Holy it's amazing! When all this is over with, I'm gonna go home and write so much Yuri fan fiction that I'm gonna become the most popular blogger on Pony Tumblr. Oh man, I can't wait.
This would have given our character some meaning, purpose, and direction in life, albeit a really weird one. This would have also been a great opportunity to give Strand a deeper appreciation of life itself. I want her to see the world and say, I like what I'm seeing and I want to be a part of it. Does she do this? Well, kind of. Sort of. While Strand is spectating a concert, she smiles at the undercurrent of goodwill flowing through the audience. It's not much, but at least it's something. There's also a part in this story where she wakes up in the morning hoping for a sunrise, but is met with rain clouds, and she ultimately laments over the fact that she may never see a sunrise again. It is a nice little scene that shows that she's actually sort of invested. However, all of this seems to be for naught, as any small progression we see just gets thrown out the window, all thanks to the ending. At this point in the story, Strand has undergone major clone decay and puts on a disguise to hide the fact. On her way to her appointment, she gets lost. However, thanks to Rainbow Dash and Strand's changeling friend, she eventually arrives at the castle to find that the main six have gotten there first. Not only that, but her friend's identity is uncovered, and he's taken prisoner by the castle guards.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch!
Oh no, what a dilemma. Will Strand go forth with her meeting? Will she go help her friend? Or will she crawl into a corner and cry to herself about how she wants this all to be over with? Yeah, I guess that's an option too. Unfortunately, her disguise also fails, and her true self is revealed. The guards take her in, mistaking her for a changeling. I mean, can you blame them? The similarities are just uncanny. By the way, somebody give Moondancer a heads up, cause she might be getting a visit from the secret police. Anyway, she's brought before the elements of harmony, and they bring up the big question. Who are you? Oh here it is, everybody. This is the defining moment in every story. This is the moment when our main character truly shines. This is the moment when they take off the guidance system and use the Force. This is the moment when they put aside their rivalries and come together as friends. Strand, with everything to lose, with your very life on the line, answer me this. Who are you? Actually, I'm a clone.
Is that all she says?
Yup.
Wait, I don't get it. Didn't she say in like chapter 4 or something that she used to be a clone but she was no longer? And that she would show them if she had to?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, she says that she's a clone and does nothing to show them otherwise.
Exactly.
Which would suggest she changed her mind.
Yup.
But nothing that happens in this story supports that.
Nope.
I mean, she's met with nothing but kindness by Fancy, by Derpy, by even the Changeling dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was those times when she was like, "Oh man, I love this culture, and I like the sunrise."
Yup.
If anything, she should want this now more than ever. But instead, she just gives up.
Exactly.
This ending doesn't make any sense.
Not a bit.
So let me guess. She gets bailed out, right?
Yup. So, as you might predict, Pinkie Pie comes to her defense, calls out all her friends for being bigots, and pats Strand on the back, telling her what a good job she did. After she's cured of her decay, everyone apologizes to her for being such meanie heads, and Strand takes her place in Pony Society. The end. Let me break this down for you people. Her Own Pony is a very frustrating story. On one hand, it has a very unique premise that explores one of this show's most divisive episodes. Also, the writing is really creative and does a great job of putting us in Strand's shoes. She is a character that we want to see succeed, and the story does an excellent job of making us feel sorry for her. However, that's all it does. All the relevant character development happened in the first 4 chapters, and from there onward, she becomes a paper boat, traversing down a stream. She doesn't take charge of her destiny, but instead depends on others to carry her. As a result, she ends up being a very flat and forgettable character. After the story finished, I didn't know where she was going in life, and more importantly, I didn't really care. I mean, if she didn't, then why should I?